which is a German book. It's a German literature book, and it was written in the 12th century. That means it's a medieval German literature. And in this book, we see Hagen as a character in this book, and then he had a lot of different character traits, right? But something that stood out for me in his character traits is the fact that he was able to manipulate his fellow, characters in the novel to, get stuff from them, or get them to do what they want to do. And then he was able to do all of these things through the kind of, trust he built with them or something. He was able to like make them trust him so much, which made him do all of these things. And for me, my argument is this book was written in the 12th century, and we see this character being able to deceive a lot of persons. And then also, it was also seen as an all-knowing character, which means he was the most experienced in the novel. So he knew almost everything about everybody, and then he could use this ability or these characteristics to like manipulate people. So I decided to bring this figure into the African colonial history or African colonial discourse. So my argument is this: the European, because I'm using him now to represent the Europeans, the white, the West, and the fact that he came to Africa to colonize us. My own argument is this theme of manipulation through this character. I'm also saying Africans were manipulated, although yes, we were actually like conquered by using like at some moments, military strength and stuff like that. But my argument is the fact that Africans were actually manipulated into whatever that happened right now, and then based off of the stories that we've heard in the past, which was more like giving our forefathers stuff that they didn't see before, like new stuff like mirrors, like guns and stuff like that, and through that they get a lot of slaves from our forefathers. So I want to argue this fact that our forefathers were manipulated into, doing whatever they are there to do, and then through this, the Europeans were able to like, or this actually contributed to the overall success of the Europeans, being able to colonize Africa. And then I want to also shift this into this 21st century, which is this age of artificial intelligence. Because now we have a lot of artificial intelligence, different companies are building different new things, which also mean in the next 4 or 5 years, these machines are going to be changing the course of history. These machines are going to have the capacity to, switch history to tell us, or let me just say it, like whatever this machine tells us is what we are going to believe. Or let me say the kids that are going to be coming out then. So how does this affect Africa as a country right now? How wouldn't this also be a tool of manipulation for the people coming, for the next generation? Because they almost do not know anything, and they will only know what the AI tells or mentions to them. So that's the main point of my argument. That's the main point of what solution can we provide in keeping our history, and then not allowing the AI or the AI driven space to, just dish out new informations about Africa, and then everybody in that century also listens to it or reads it, consume it, and then they just, accept it like that. So I want to research deeply into this theme of manipulation using the Hagen's character in the 12th century, and also, linking it up with the 21st century, and then profiling solutions on how we can actually, work on upholding our history, maintaining our history, and then not just allowing the new artificial intelligence to just, change the course of history for us. Because if there's one thing I feel like we need to change in Africa, is the fact that we need to learn how to now document our history, because we are now enlightened enough to know that one of the reasons why Africa is like this is because our history is actually not documented. So we just add like different make believe that we were taught in schools, and then we just went on with that, which actually, for me, I feel like it could have been better if we all knew our history. That is actually my main point writing this paper. And yes, I would be using the comparative complex theory by Dr. Olali, and then also the post-colonial theory. I'm going to use this theory to, make like a comparison between, the Hagen's book and what happened in the time of our in our colonial time, and then also I'm going to use to compare what's going to happen, or what I think is going to happen in the future with AI being the the major tool where people get information now. It's more easier, it's more faster. I'm going to use these theories to analyze this thing and then make a comparison, and then also provide a solution provide what I think is going to be a solution onto how, like, into how what Africans can do as a continent to also have control of their history, to also be able to say something for themselves, and not just not just allow, or not just make the same mistake the second time. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, okay, I hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, sir. So that's like the core of my argument, and yeah, I said I mentioned it already.
Yeah, can you hear them?
No,
Can you hear?
I can't hear them. I can only hear you.
All right, all right.
Yeah, it's hear you now.
All right. Okay. From your discussion, you are able to grab your area of concern as you share with us by saying, looking back into history, that the Western world at that point in time manipulated Africans. And of course, it is of that great interest. We are looking at the 21st century AI and another means of manipulation. I want to believe I got you right.
Yeah, you
And so you see AI is a Western manipulation and maybe through information in another form of colonization. And from your discourse, I observe as well that your presentation is more of a proposal than what you intend and your articulation of desire. And so, thank you so much for sharing knowledge with us. I don't know, we want to ask the floor for questions and comments. Okay, please raise up your hand to the big number. I can see 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 9. So please come forward. You can probably you can take those questions. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you. I can't hear that. I can't hear.
I don't know whether you can hear me.
It's kind of breaking, but
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, it's getting better now. It's better now.
Okay, good. Because the use of the word manipulation
is somehow, to me, a great concern that white people came and manipulated us. You know, I guess it is time we begin to look at and face the reality of our nation.
Mm.
White men came here, white man came here, they met us as we were. They studied us and they used who we were. Well, we may say it's manipulation, but we played ourselves into their hands. Because when we look into something like the issue of slavery, we were already selling ourselves before they came.
Mm.
So we intentionally handed over our people to them. So that's what manipulation may not be. Because I'm happy the way you talk about AI. AI is here to stay. And in Africa, we don't know how the white arrived at AI. But AI is now our song. Did they pull us into it? No. We pushed ourselves, we pulled ourselves into it. They are not intending to use that to manipulate us. They are only looking for a way of making life easy. So if we are talking about, we should just face the reality of our own issue as Africans. These white people are coming up with different things every day to make life easy for themselves, including AI. But we jump into it, not knowing the history, not knowing the objective. We just jump into it and we absorb without thinking. So we are the one manipulating ourselves. So we should look into that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Can I say something?
Mr. I want to thank you for your presentation. Dr. Abolari have already said more of what I would have said. But I want to make this, when we do our research, let's be more objective in discussing issues. Like the trade, colonial trade started from the west to the north, to the transatlantic, and to Europe. And that is how colonial trade started.
Yes, sir.
For it was not really to undermine our identity, but for how to facilitate work in the new world, and not for any, because we started it because of status symbol and to help work to work easy. That's how these streets started. So when we use the word manipulation, it is derogatory most often, because it is just like we mentioned, for a way to make work easy. Now, if you say manipulation in machine, you may not be fair to machine, because the machine is only operating on whatever you give to it. It is garbage in and garbage out. The machine does not have emotional intelligence to begin to operate man in the way he may not want to. So let's be clear on that. That's what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say earlier has been said by our brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Victor,
Yes, sir.
thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I can very clearly, sir.
You can.
All right. I guess you are doing a textual analysis.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you are trying to apply the analysis in the context of AI in the 21st century.
No, not yes.
Is that correct?
So the novel I'm written in the 12th century, so it's like a medieval German literature, not like Nazism. Nazism wasn't on there. But like, yes, I'm trying to compare what happened then in the text to like to the African colonial context.
You are trying to look at what is in the text and you are applying it
Yes, sir.
AI. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Very correct, sir.
What text are you using?
So the text is titled Nibelungen. It's a German medieval heroic literature, and then it's about the heroic deeds that happened in the 12th century. But in this novel, we have different character, and then we now have this Hagen character. He was the vassal to the king, like the king's servant in the Nigerian. He,
Mr. Victor.
yes, sir.
Mr. Victor.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
That's what we expected you to present. You should have presented the text, the characters, how manipulative they were. You know, the coordinator said your language was more of Osana. It's now that you're now telling us, the in thing. So what you should have started with telling us the text. This is what the text says. These are the characters in the text. These are their manipulative tactics, and so that would have made it easier for us to follow your presentation. And after that, you can now apply.
Yes,
But my concern is, are you trying to say that AI
I stopped hearing you, sir.
AI? So these are the things we expected to hear you present while you were presenting your paper. And lastly, what are the specific findings? You say what?
I can hear you. What are the findings?
All right, Mr. Victor.
Yes, sir.
What are the specific findings with regard to this? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Like, what are the specific findings in regards to this paper, right?
Yes. So you need to let us know what did you discover, how manipulative is AI, and how manipulative were the characters in the text.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, sir. Do I have to say that now, or I can hear you clearly, sir?
Can we hear you?
Yes, I can hear the person that the person that spoke last now.
Okay, and you speak and let's see.
Okay, so the Nibelungen Lied is a German medieval literature in the 12th century, and it covers it was like a heroic novel. Hello, am I supposed to?
Okay, you can speak.
Okay, I can speak now. All right, so Nibelungen Lied is a German novel, and we have different characters. So we have the king, King Gunther. We have his hired servant or vassal, which is called Hagen, and then we have his sister Kriemhild. We have Gunther. We have no Gernot with Giselle. Those are his younger brothers, and then we have his mother Queen Ute. So the novel is more like a power politics kind of movie, a novel or literature work. So in this novel, we have his vassal Gunther, who is like the a well experienced and also strong man. And then we had Siegfried. Siegfried is the son of another king in another kingdom who was trying to come into the Burgundy. Burgundy is the kingdom where King Gunther and Hagen are like controlling. So he was trying to come there to come and have Krimid's hand in marriage. And then while he came, he was the strongest fighter, like the strongest knight in the whole situation of the book. So while he came to the book, Hagen, being the most experienced man, was the only one that could recognize Siegfried. So it was more like they all could only go to Hagen for information on what the next thing to do is in the novel. And then he told them, "Oh, don't let us fight with Siegfried. Let us become his friend because he's powerful. He can become invincible and stuff like that." And then after saying all of these things, his own plan as a character was to, use Siegfried. So he was helping the kingdom Burgundy to use Siegfried because he knew that Siegfried wanted to marry his king's younger sister. So he was like, "Oh, now don't let us fight with him because this man is the strongest man. Let us just make him do what he wants us to do." So because Siegfried wanted to marry Krimid, Siegfried had to go fight battles for the kingdom, for like the Burgundian kingdom, and then Siegfried Siegfried was the one that helped King Gunther to, to conquer his wife. This scene is kind of like really dicey and stuff, but Siegfried helped King Gunther to conquer his wife because his wife was so powerful that nobody can kill her, only Siegfried, because Siegfried had the invisible Siegfried could become invisible, and then it was the strongest man alive. So where manipulation now came in is the fact that after Hagen had seen that Siegfried as a character in the novel is gaining more strength and it was becoming more and more closer to the king, and it was more like it was already taking his position in the presence of the king. So Hagen used the trust that he has created in that palace to go and ask Krimid what is Siegfried's power, like what's the secret to his power. And then Krimid, out of trust, after enough so much trust to Hagen, then decided to tell Hagen the secret of, or the only place where a sword could pierce into Siegfried's body. And then this was I'm arguing that the fact that Krimid trusted Hagen wasn't just because of what happened in the moment. It was because of everything that Hagen has done for them in the court. And then Krimid was like, "Oh, I'm going to tell Hagen the secret to my man's power because I want Hagen to protect my man. Because I want because they're going to battle and sword must not enter this place in Hagen's body, and I want him to protect my man. So I'm going to tell him where sword must not touch." And then she even decided to knit a a a a post a cross sign on his clothes where the sword must not enter, not knowing that Hagen's intention was really because he wanted to kill Siegfried, because he felt threatened because of Siegfried. So I'm arguing that the whites coming to Africa, yeah, I do understand that manipulation is a really, really strong word and stuff like that. And yes, that is a really, really strong word. For me, I'm like, it's still manipulation. Because the way I see it is Africa was a continent on its own. And then even in the European context in the 12th century, the white still sells humans to each other. They sell slaves to each other. So it's like a known tradition even in the heroic deeds in the 12th century in those times. So relating it to Africa, it was more like, the way I see it, it was more like the whites, while they were coming, they knew what actually worked, because at the end of the day, we are all humans first before being white or black. So they already understood human psychology, which is what they actually just came to execute. They executed what they knew that has worked in their own part of the world over the centuries, and then they executed the same thing in Africa, and then it worked. And then it not only worked, it became a means to suppress. Because I study German, I'm currently doing my... Yes, you can, sir.
You've finished your thoughts, please. If you don't mind, finish your thoughts.
Okay, sir. So my argument is the whites knows already what works, and they know how to execute it because they've tested it among themselves for a longer period of time. And then one thing the whites will always do to themselves is, even if they've tested it among themselves, they know when to stop it. Like, they know when to say, okay, now we have done this thing, but now we are now at peace. No more issues, no more fights. Everybody's on their own. But in the context of Africa, it was more like, even though we are saying we've stopped it and everything, there are still systemic. I don't want to use like strong words, but like there are still systemic suppressions to these things, or systemic actions that just ensure that this set of the world doesn't develop. Because moving back into what I learned about, the development of Germany and everything, Germany participated in the First World War, in the Second World War, and then they are still currently the world leaders right now. That's not a feat that anybody can achieve. Like, they didn't achieve it because they were the best. They achieved it because of the Marshall Plan and then the fact that America took interest in them. So in like 20 years, they were able to build back their economy and everything like that. But in Africa, what we see right now, we see a system that still suppresses people. Like, that's it. Because looking at the French now, looking at France with the French colonial countries, France still prints the money of the French colonial countries, which is not supposed to be so. So for me, I'm arguing that yes, they are trying to build AI because they want they want the world to be more easier, but it is still controlled. And we have to understand that they can actually control these things. And us knowing that it also make us come to the point that yes, the main because there's always a main agenda and there's always a agenda behind it. And for me, the way I see it, the way I can assess the situation right now is the fact that a behind agenda in this thing is, always looking for how to control people's mind and control the narrative. So I'm arguing that AI can become a really effective tool of controlling the narrative in the next 5 to 10 years. And by this period in time, everybody will trust so much in AI that people will not even want to confirm. Like, there won't be need to go confirm, oh, did this thing really happen? Once AI tells them that, that's it. And then somebody said something about, is whatever we feed AI that is going to feed us back. That's it. If they feed AI that this is what this country is doing in this time of the year, change the narrative in the office. I'll look for a way to, present it.
I think you made a very strong point that next years to come, AI will be another means of manipulating applicants and especially as men. And it's going to be a very difficult and competition to read out of your discussion today and work with to take your submission. I think we want to thank you for the well-done presentation, and of course, we look forward to the proceedings of this conference. We want to let you go now and we continue the parallel section that we got. Please, can everybody ask a question?
Can I make a comment, please?
Okay. So I want to thank you and continue the conference as we proceed with the parallel section that will commence immediately after now. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Back to now. So we will go back to our group, except if we have those that are just coming in and you don't belong to any group, just remain seated where you are at the center. If you don't have a group, just be an extended field of the church. So all other persons, please go back to
Hello, sir. Can you hear you, sir?
Victor, that was a brilliant presentation you just did. You know, it's quite powerful and provocative on several levels. And if you ask me, your paper addresses and cuts right through into the work of the comparative heritage, and particularly in the area of scriptural dynamics, you know, what we call scriptural dynamics. You know, I was just, as you were talking, you're making your presentation, I was thinking about texts such as the classical Chinese literature, you know, that's edited by John Minford and Joseph Lau, and also Wole Soyinka's The Trials of Brother Jero came to mind, and the manipulation that he emphasized, you know, in Prophet Jero, and the abuse of power, especially religious power, the manipulation that comes with it. That's one. And secondly, I really wanted to highlight and emphasize that your topic is quite appropriate in terms of and you mentioned the term psychological, the psychological dynamics or implications of using scripture, using literally manipulating scripture. You know, it is psychological, and there is no better term. There's no way, there's no need to downplay or reduce or look for a better term. Someone said it's, I think they said it's pejorative. I disagree. I totally disagree. I think the term is very, very appropriate in how people in power, regardless whether it is religious or secular, manipulate their followers, you know, manipulate people who have faith in them. Now, compared to the profusion or proliferation of the AI, I mean, even the president of America shares fake news. He shares fake videos.
Yes.
American president, he shares fake news. Now, if this can happen here in America, how much less, you know, how much more would it happen out there in Africa, where, I mean, we're not taking documentations very seriously as we ought to. And speaking of documentation, I mean, how much of investment do our universities in Africa make into research?
Mm-hmm.
How well do we invest into research? It's easy for us to say manipulation is, I mean, we do apologies. Manipulation is a strong term, but we need to hit the nail on the head. How well do we invest in research? How many of our students do we sponsor, give scholarship that we believe in research? You know, it's easy. I mean, we would rather, unfortunately, sponsor religious programs,
So,
but not, I mean, how many computer science departments have computers? How many? You know, how many literature departments have literature textbooks? You know, 2, 3 months ago, I sponsored an institution, sent them money to purchase materials for the students in the north there. And I mean, to say that the leaders are manipulating the people with religion will be an understatement. So, manipulation, the idea of manipulation, in fact, I think that's the weakest language you can use. You need to look for stronger term. Something stronger than manipulation is happening, yet it is manipulation that is taking place. It is a psychological obfuscation, the psychological blinding of people's ability to think correctly, to think and be able to measure and assess their own reality. That is manipulation. You know, in Wole Soyinka's trial of Rajero, we see how the prophet manipulated his follower, you know, deceiving him, and just living his life the way he wants to live, or life of affluence and life of luxury, using his follower to get the best of life he wanted to live, while the follower is just believing God, trusting God, and praying and being fervent. He was just being fooled.
Yes.
So I think the character Hagen, if you look at both pre-colonial and post-colonial Africa, it is a perfect knot. He ties our reality. He helps us to see, and I'm glad this is literature that you're engaging. So it's a very, very good match to compare to the scriptural dynamics we have going on in Africa. So thank you so much for your presentation. I really appreciate that your paper is among the papers I'm listening to at this conference. Thank you very much, Victor.
Very much, sir.
Proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if other people have contributions to make with regards to Victor's presentation.